They never told you the very comfort you seek, the warm embrace of understanding, or the desperate need to be seen as good or right. These are not freedoms. They are the subtle cages binding you, woven so skillfully you might never notice the bars. There's a void, a deep, unsettling sense of incompleteness that every man feels but rarely acknowledges. It's not a flaw, not a weakness you need to fix or hide. Instead, it's the driving shadow, an unseen force compelling you, perhaps subconsciously, to seek validation and dominance, to control narratives, to defend your position, your integrity, your very existence, against every perceived slight, every whispered doubt. This shadow compels you to explain, to justify, to meticulously construct a fortress of words around your truth. And in that very act, you drain your power. Welcome. Tonight, we expose the hidden corners of desire, underlying motives, and inner battles. The quiet anxieties that whisper, prove them wrong, the deep-seated urge to correct every misconception. If you've ever felt a profound unease when challenged, a visceral need to set the record straight, this is for you. Like this video, subscribe if you're ready to unveil the illusions that control you, to see the unseen strings pulling your life, your reactions, your very sense of self. Take a slow breath. Let's go deeper. Imagine Arthur, a man of quiet ambition, climbing the corporate ladder. He'd built a reputation for integrity, for meticulous attention to detail, but beneath the polished surface, a tension hummed. A constant, almost imperceptible tremor of anxiety whenever his work was questioned, his character subtly doubted. He saw it in the flickering fluorescent lights of the meeting room, felt it in the subtle shift of gazes when a colleague, Mark, would casually drop a barbed comment designed to undermine Arthur's latest proposal. Arthur's instinct, always, was to defend, to present data, to recall conversations, to painstakingly reconstruct the timeline of events that proved his competence, his honesty. He'd feel his heartbeat quicken, a subtle tremor in his hands, even as his voice remained steady. He believed this was the path of responsibility, of professional accountability, and for a long time, he saw it as a strength. He was always ready, always prepared to justify, to win the argument, but each defense, no matter how logical, how well-reasoned, left him feeling drained, exhausted, and strangely less powerful. Like chasing shadows in a dimly lit room, the more he ran, the further away the light seemed. He was always on the back foot, always reacting, always pouring his energy into countering someone else's narrative. The symbolic mirror he held up to himself after these encounters showed a man who was fighting, yes, but also a man who was deeply, fundamentally reactive, a man whose peace was constantly at the mercy of others' opinions. This confusion would slowly give way to a creeping fascination as he observed others, those who seemed to glide effortlessly through similar challenges. Most men don't realize this, the relentless pursuit of validation, the comfort they cling to in being understood, is actually a meticulously crafted illusion. It's a silent prison. Every time you explain, every time you justify, you hand over a piece of your power. You acknowledge the premise of their attack. You validate their right to question you. You step into their ring on their terms, and you begin to play their game. Think of it like a silent accusation. The accuser casts a net, and when you frantically try to untangle yourself, you only confirm the net's existence, its power over you. This isn't about being dishonest or letting lies stand. This is about a profound, almost forbidden understanding of human psychology, one that Machiavelli himself understood deep in his bones. He knew that power isn't about brute force alone. It's often about the subtle withdrawal, the unexpected silence, the refusal to engage in a battle that was never truly yours to fight. Imagine a chess game where your opponent makes a move, expecting a certain counter. They've planned their next 5 moves based on your predictable reaction. But what if you don't react? What if you simply look at them? What if you turn the board around, or even just walk away from the table for a moment? Their entire strategy crumbles. They are left with their own move hanging in the air, suddenly exposed. The act of defending yourself, in many ways, is an admission. An admission that their accusation holds weight, that their opinion matters enough to merit your energy, your time, your emotional investment. And that, my friend, is where the subtle transfer of power truly begins. It shifts from you to them. You become the one performing, the one explaining, the one seeking absolution. Arthur, in his quiet moments, began to sense this, the dread that would wash over him after a particularly draining defense. The realization that even when he won the argument, he felt empty. A quiet clarity began to form. What if the game itself was the trap? What if the true power lay not in winning the defense, but in refusing to play it at all? This isn't about arrogance. It's about understanding a deeper truth about human nature, a truth most men ignore. They never told you your greatest strengths, your fierce independence, your desire for control, are the very chains that bind you to the need for external validation. What feels like freedom, the freedom to speak your truth, to set the record straight, is actually a meticulously crafted illusion, designed to keep you chasing shadows, forever seeking more, forever on the defensive. But that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. Word count 968, that lingering unease, that quiet hum beneath the surface of your control, stems from something deeper than mere accusation. It's tied to an echo of desire within you, one you've been taught to suppress, to fear. Most men don't realize this. The very drive to explain yourself, to present an impenetrable front, is born from a forbidden desire to be flawless, to be beyond reproach, to live in a reality where your truth is universally accepted without question. This hunger for absolute, unchallenged perception is, paradoxically, the first crack in your control. You cling to the illusion of choice, the belief that by speaking your truth, you are asserting your freedom. But what feels like liberation, the urge to defend your name, your actions, your very character, is actually a silent prison. Every word you utter in defense, every fact you present, every passionate rebuttal, it's not for them. It's for that insatiable part of you that cannot tolerate a single shadow of doubt cast upon its carefully constructed image. Think of Arthur again, standing firm, arguing his case. He felt, for a moment, a surge of adrenaline, a sense of justice being served, yet the energy poured out of him, leaving him hollow. He was giving Mark, his insidious colleague, exactly what Mark craved, a reaction. Arthur was validating the attack, lending it gravity by engaging. He was accepting the premise that he needed to defend himself, that Mark's insinuation was worthy of his time and emotional cost. This is where the true trick lies. Machiavelli understood that power is not just about what you do, but often, profoundly, about what you don't do. When an accusation, a subtle slight, or a direct challenge comes your way, your gut screams, defend, justify, explain. Your heartbeat quickens, a familiar tension tightens in your chest, that visceral reaction. It's the strings being pulled. And your anticipated defense is the next scene in their script. But imagine, instead, a profound, almost chilling silence. A calm, unwavering gaze. You say nothing. You offer no explanation. The accusation hangs in the air, unsupported, unacknowledged by you. It becomes their burden, their problem. Suddenly, the accuser is left exposed, their words echoing in a vacuum. The power shifts. They expected a fight, a flurry of justification. When it doesn't come, their carefully planned narrative collapses. They are forced to confront the baselessness of their own words, or worse, their underlying malice, in the unsettling quiet. This isn't about being passive. This is an active, calculated withdrawal of your energy, a refusal to grant legitimacy to the attack. It's a strategic move to starve the beast. You watch calmly as their projected insecurity bounces off your stillness, leaving them grappling with their own reflection in that dark, unmoving mirror. Most men don't realize how much power they forfeit by simply engaging. They fall into the trap of explanation, not understanding that their silence can be a louder, more devastating retort. What feels like proving yourself is actually proof of their control over your emotional state. But that's only the beginning. The shame they unknowingly uncover in this exchange is a dark revelation. Word count 500. The discomfort you felt in the previous stillness, that quiet refusal to engage, is only the prelude to a deeper revelation. Because in that silence, a profound psychological shift occurs, one that uncovers not your shame, but theirs. They never told you. Your greatest strengths, your composure, your self-possession, your refusal to play their game are the hidden chains that bind them, forcing them to confront the shadow they projected onto you. When you offer no defense, you erect an invisible, unyielding barrier. It's like a locked door. Their accusations, their slights, their manipulative whispers hit that door and simply fall flat. They have nowhere to go, no point of entry. The energy they launched at you, expecting a reciprocal burst of explanation, justification, or anger, now has no target. It's forced to boomerang back, and in that unsettling recoil, it slams into their own carefully constructed facade. Think of Mark again. After Arthur's uncharacteristic silence, Mark's confident smirk would falter. He'd expected a flurry of rationalizations, a nervous explanation from Arthur. Instead, he met a calm, almost enigmatic stillness. The accusation, now detached from any reaction, sounded hollow, even desperate. Mark's own insecurity, his need to dominate the narrative, began to surface. The room itself seemed to hold its breath, amplifying the awkwardness of Mark's exposed aggression. This isn't just about winning an argument, it's about making them own their own darkness. Most men don't realize this. When you refuse to defend, you pull away the very oxygen they need to fuel their aggression or manipulation. You become a mirror, reflecting their own intent back at them. The shame they unknowingly uncover is the naked ugliness of their own desire to control you, to provoke you, to diminish you. They see themselves in your unflinching silence, not the image they wanted to project, but the raw, unvarnished truth of their own manipulative impulse. What feels like freedom to them, the freedom to cast judgment, to make accusations, is actually a meticulously crafted illusion. It's a silent master, the puppet string they've always used to pull your reactions. But by cutting that string, by offering no defense, you expose their hand. Their desire to provoke, to dominate, to see you squirm, now hangs like a raw nerve in the open. You can almost hear their inner voice whispering, "Why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he playing along?" The power instantly flips because you've stopped validating their script. You've introduced a variable they cannot control, your absolute stillness. This revelation is stark, almost chilling. You've spent a lifetime instinctively defending, playing by rules that inherently disempower you. Now you see the simple, profound power of not engaging. It forces them into a position of weakness, scrambling to fill the void your silence has created. Their desire to control your response is revealed as the very thing that manipulates their own choices, pushing them deeper into a corner they built themselves. But this exposure of their hidden shame is only a prelude. The true mastery lies in turning their desperate moves against them. Word count 500. The exposure of their hidden shame was only a prelude. Now, prepare for a far darker realization. The true mastery lies not just in your refusal to defend, but in turning their desperate moves against them. Most men don't realize that the very emotional volatility you often encounter from others, their need to dominate or provoke, is precisely how their own hidden desires manipulate their choices. It's a predictable script, and now you're rewriting the ending simply by refusing your lines. When you offer no defense, their attack loses its anchor. It becomes a frantic lashing out in the dark, fueled by their burning, unfulfilled desire for your reaction, your energy, your submission. This is their forbidden flame, igniting only to consume them when you withhold the fuel of your engagement. What feels like their aggressive pursuit of victory is actually a profound deception, a desperate attempt to regain the control you effortlessly stripped away with your silence. Arthur, in his quiet observation, saw this unfold with Mark. When his usual barbs and subtle undermining met only a calm, unyielding stillness from Arthur, Mark didn't retreat. He escalated. His comments became sharper, his insinuations more blatant. The tension in the meeting room thickened, almost visibly. Mark's desire to provoke Arthur, to see him squirm, was now so raw, so exposed, it was almost embarrassing to witness. This escalation, this desperate need to elicit a response, was Mark's own desire manipulating his choices, pushing him into increasingly reckless territory. They never told you your calm, almost unnerving lack of reaction doesn't just disarm, it forces the aggressor into a performative frenzy. They are left alone on stage, their lines ringing hollow, their movements clumsy without a dance partner. This is the moment you gain supreme advantage. You don't need to fight, you simply need to observe. See how their frustration curdles into desperation, how their need for control causes them to overplay their hand. Their own choices, driven by that burning internal desire, become their undoing. This is the dark realization. Every man thinks he's in control of his rational mind, his strategic moves, until he learns this. The pursuit of power, the comfort they cling to in their ability to manipulate, is a meticulously crafted illusion. It's a silent master, designed to keep them trapped in a loop of predictable, often self-defeating, actions. They are compelled by the very desires they project onto you. When you refuse to play, they are forced to reveal the depths of their own hidden insecurities, their own profound unease, their own desperate need for validation. Their attempts to make you lose control only reveal how utterly out of control they are. You're not fighting them. You're simply stepping out of their way, allowing their own momentum to carry them over the cliff. The unsettling truth is this: their strongest attacks are often their most vulnerable confessions, but understanding this unsettling truth is only the first step. Accepting its implications will demand a different kind of strength. Word count 500. Understanding that unsettling truth, that desire manipulates their choices, and your silence dismantles their game, leads to a profound, yet uneasy acceptance. It's not a comforting realization, but it is undeniably powerful. They never told you that the quiet strength lies not in proving your innocence, but in simply refusing to validate their accusation with a single word of defense. This isn't freedom as you once knew it. It's a meticulously crafted illusion of engagement, designed to keep you trapped in a loop of reaction. This uneasy acceptance settles in like a cold, clear night, you begin to see the world differently. Arguments, criticisms, subtle slights, they no longer trigger that familiar surge of adrenaline, that burning need to justify. Instead, you observe. You see the underlying desire, the hidden insecurity, the desperate attempt to regain control in every attempt to provoke you. It's like watching a play where you know all the actors' true motives, even when they're hidden beneath layers of polite aggression or feigned concern. Arthur found himself experiencing this. After several more encounters with Mark, where he simply met veiled insults with an unblinking gaze and a serene silence, something shifted. Mark, unnerved, would eventually just trail off, his words left hanging in the echoing stillness of the office. Arthur didn't feel righteous. He felt calm, a quiet, unsettling calm. He accepted that Mark's behavior wasn't personal, but a manifestation of Mark's own internal struggles, his own need for dominance, the desire for control. Mark's desire was manipulating his choices. What feels like freedom to others, their unbridled expression of opinion or challenge, is actually a silent master over their own actions. They are compelled to try and provoke you, to draw you into their drama, because their own insecurities demand a reaction. When you withhold it, you become like a stone wall. Their efforts bounce off, leaving them bruised by their own impact. There's no anger, no frustration from your side, just a quiet, almost surgical detachment. Most men don't realize that this very act of non-defense, this uneasy acceptance of a world where not everyone plays fair, is the beginning of genuine power. You are no longer swayed by the winds of external opinion. Your emotional state is no longer a hostage to another man's insecurities. The symbolic motif here is a kind of inner fortress, not built of words, but of silence. A fortress where no external attack can penetrate, because you simply refuse to open the gate. The internal conflict, the shame you once felt when someone questioned you, begins to fade, replaced by a deep, quiet clarity. But this profound acceptance, this cold, powerful understanding of human dynamics, also carries a weight. For true mastery, you must learn to negotiate with the shadow that this revelation unveils within you. Word count 500. This profound acceptance, this cold, powerful understanding of human dynamics, also carries a weight. For true mastery, you must learn to negotiate with the shadow that this revelation unveils within you. It's not just the shadow cast by others' desires, but the quiet, persistent shadow of your own past, of the man who instinctively defended, who believed he needed to explain himself to earn his place. This negotiation isn't about fighting that shadow. It's about understanding its mechanics, its whispers, and ultimately integrating it into a new, more formidable self. They never told you that the very comfort you seek, the illusion of a world where logic and fairness always prevail, is the subtle cage that prevents you from seeing the true, raw dynamics of power. Most men don't realize this. You are now stepping beyond that cage, into a landscape where human interaction is a delicate dance of unspoken desires and hidden motives. Your negotiation with the shadow involves recognizing these patterns, not just in Mark, but in every interaction, every challenge. It's about seeing the predictable script before it even fully unfolds. Arthur, for instance, began to anticipate Mark's moves. He would see the subtle shift in Mark's eyes, the slight tightening around his mouth, moments before a veiled accusation was launched. But instead of the familiar knot in his stomach, Arthur felt a strange calm. He wasn't steeling himself for a fight. He was simply observing. This negotiation wasn't a battle of wills, but a quiet, internal process of deciphering the language of the shadow. He allowed Mark's words to land, not on his self-worth, but on the silent, unreactive surface of his composure. What feels like freedom to most, the freedom to express every thought, to correct every perceived wrong, is actually a profound deception. It's a silent master guiding you into predictable, energy-draining reactions. Your negotiation with the shadow allows you to break free from this. You learn to let their accusations hang in the air, allowing them to dissipate harmlessly. You're not being arrogant. You're simply refusing to engage in a battle that serves no purpose but to feed their own insecurities. This is where the power instantly flips. You conserve your energy, your focus, and you observe their desperate maneuvers. This is a deep, almost unsettling wisdom. You're not becoming cynical. You're becoming discerning. You're not becoming cold. You're becoming unshakable. The psychological trigger here is the inner conflict that arises when you understand that the world isn't always fair, and that defending yourself only gives power to the aggressor. The aftermath emotion shifts from uneasy acceptance to a quiet, strategic clarity. You recognize the invisible thread, the driving shadow, orchestrating both your past reactions and their current manipulations. But truly mastering this negotiation with the shadow leads to something even more profound, a quiet moment of liberation you've never known. Word count 500. Truly mastering this negotiation with the shadow leads to something even more profound, a quiet moment of liberation you've never known. It's not the roaring freedom of a victory shouted from the rooftops, but the subtle, deeply personal release of 1,000 unseen chains. The constant hum of anxiety, the subconscious need to brace yourself for judgment, the instinct to always have a defense ready, all of it dissolves, replaced by a deep, unwavering calm. They never told you that the pursuit of external validation, the constant effort to shape others' perceptions of you, is the heaviest burden a man can carry. What feels like proving your worth, like asserting your truth, is actually a meticulous crafted illusion. It's a silent master, binding you to a cycle of reaction. But now you understand the trick. You see the strings, and you realize you don't have to dance to anyone else's tune. This understanding brings a quiet clarity, an almost chilling peace. Arthur found himself experiencing this liberation. He noticed it first in his posture. His shoulders were subtly less tense. In meetings, Mark's barbs, once capable of sparking a fire in his gut, now just passed him by. There was no internal trigger, no desperate voice urging him to respond. He was simply there, observing Mark's continued, futile efforts, almost with a detached pity. This wasn't indifference. It was something far more powerful. It was the freedom from the need to be understood, to be seen as right by those who sought to diminish him. Most men don't realize that the very comfort they cling to, the idea that a logical argument will always win, is a profound deception. It's a subtle cage. The liberation comes from stepping entirely outside of that cage. You no longer engage in battles that are designed to deplete you, to pull you down to the level of your accuser. Your silence becomes your shield, not because it protects you from their words, but because it protects you from the need to react to them. The tension you once felt, the quickened heartbeat in the face of conflict, dissipates into a serene stillness. This is the ultimate flip of power. You're not just winning an argument, you're dismantling the very mechanism of conflict itself, at least for yourself. The symbolic motif here is the sound of a heavy chain falling, clattering to the floor, unheard by others, but deeply felt by you. The weight you carried, the burden of needing to defend, is gone. You realize that your true worth, your integrity, exists independently of anyone else's opinion or accusation. It's an undeniable truth residing solely within you. But this quiet moment of liberation, this deep, unsettling peace, is just the doorway. It leads to a dark wisdom that few men ever truly grasp. Word count 500. This quiet moment of liberation, this deep, unsettling peace, is merely the doorway. What lies beyond is a dark wisdom that few men ever truly grasp, a chilling clarity that reveals the hidden architecture of human interaction. They never told you that the game of power is rarely won by direct confrontation, but by understanding the unspoken currents, the subtle tugs of desire that manipulate every choice. This wisdom isn't malevolent, it's simply unfiltered, unsentimental truth. Most men don't realize that the very comfort they cling to, the belief in fair play, in transparent motives, is a profound deception. It's a silent master, keeping them blind to the relentless, often subconscious, power struggles unfolding around them. But with this dark wisdom, you begin to see. You see the flickering light of their insecurity behind every aggressive accusation, the desperate need for validation behind every attempt to belittle. You understand that their attacks are often not about you, but about their own internal void, their own unresolved conflicts. Arthur, now steeped in this dark wisdom, navigated his world with a new, almost preternatural calm. He no longer needed to react. When a new challenge arose, he didn't tense up, he leaned in, a quiet observer. He saw the pattern, the initial probe, the expectation of a defense, the subtle escalation when none came. He understood that his unyielding silence was not just a shield, but a powerful, active tool that forced others to reveal their true hand, their hidden agenda. The tension for him was gone, replaced by the profound, almost chilling satisfaction of knowing. What feels like freedom to many, the freedom to openly express anger or frustration, is actually a meticulously crafted illusion, designed to pull them deeper into unproductive conflict. But you, armed with this dark wisdom, are free from that loop. You understand that your power isn't in your ability to defeat an opponent, but in your ability to render their attacks meaningless. You see how their desire for control, their need for a reaction, ironically makes them deeply vulnerable and predictable. This wisdom is about seeing through the superficial layers of interaction to the primal instincts beneath. It's the knowledge that true power comes from within, from an unshakable sense of self that no external accusation can penetrate. You are no longer chasing shadows, you are standing in the light, allowing the shadows of others' insecurities to dance around you, harmlessly. This wisdom allows you to move through the world with an invisible cloak of authority, an untouchable quality that few can define, but all can feel. But embracing this dark wisdom means acknowledging something unsettling about yourself and others, and that leads to a deep, quiet acceptance of the human condition. Word count 500. Embracing this dark wisdom means acknowledging something unsettling about yourself and others. It leads to a deep, quiet acceptance of the human condition, a profound understanding that strips away illusions about fairness and inherent goodness. They never told you that the pursuit of external validation, the desperate need to be seen as right, is a silent master, keeping most men trapped in a cycle of endless defense. But now you see the strings. This acceptance is not cynical, nor is it a surrender. Instead, it's a calm, unyielding clarity. You no longer battle against the inevitable currents of human nature, the envy, the desire for control, the subconscious drives that compel people to project their own insecurities onto you. You simply observe. You understand that the act of defending yourself, the frantic explanation, is not just futile, it's an unwitting collaboration with the very forces that seek to undermine you. But with this newfound acceptance, you step outside that cage. You see how others' attacks are often their own desperate attempts to shift their internal burdens onto you. Your silence, your unwavering composure, becomes a vast, still lake, reflecting their frantic movements back at them, undisturbed. Arthur found himself embodying this. He didn't just avoid defending, he ceased to feel the need to. The inner turmoil that once churned when faced with unfairness simply wasn't there. He could listen to a baseless accusation, observe the accuser's restless eyes, hear the slight tremor in their voice, and feel nothing but a quiet understanding. His power wasn't in winning a verbal spar, but in making the spar irrelevant. He understood that true strength wasn't about fighting every battle, but about choosing which battles to even acknowledge. What feels like freedom to many, the freedom to openly debate and justify, is actually a meticulously crafted illusion. It is designed to keep them emotionally entangled, draining their vital energy, but this deep, quiet acceptance liberates you. You are no longer bound by the opinions of others, nor by your own past impulse to correct every misconception. The symbolic motif is a clear, unclouded sky after a storm. The chaos has passed, and what remains is a vast, unshakable calm. You accept the world for what it is, and in that acceptance, you become truly untouchable. But this isn't the end of the journey, for tonight, when you face your reflection, you'll see the part of you they told you to kill, but it never left. Word count 500. Tonight, as the artificial glow of your screen fades, and you are left with the quiet presence of your own thoughts, when you finally face your reflection, you will see the part of you they told you to kill, the primal, unsentimental truth, but it never left. This isn't a flaw, it is the core of an ancient, powerful wisdom. You've walked a path few men dare to tread, peeling back the layers of comfortable illusion to reveal the raw, intricate dance of desire, power, and human vulnerability. You now understand that the desperate need to defend, to explain, to justify your existence was never a strength, but a subtle chain, a silent master keeping you bound. The trick Machiavelli knew, the profound power of simply not reacting, not engaging, is now a part of your very being. You've learned that your silence can be a louder, more devastating retort than any argument, flipping the dynamics of control instantly. The calm, unyielding stillness you now possess is your greatest weapon, allowing you to observe the predictable desperation of those who try to provoke, and to recognize the hidden strings that manipulate their every move. Embrace this truth. Let it settle deep within you. It is a quiet, unsettling liberation, a dark wisdom that grants you an unshakable inner peace in a world perpetually seeking to stir chaos. End of script. Tonight, as the artificial glow of your screen fades, and you are left with the quiet presence of your own thoughts, when you finally face your reflection, you will see the part of you they told you to kill, the primal, unsentimental truth, but it never left. This isn't a flaw, it is the core of an ancient, powerful wisdom. You've walked a path few men dare to tread, peeling back the layers of comfortable illusion to reveal the raw, intricate dance of desire, power, and human vulnerability. You now understand that the desperate need to defend, to explain, to justify your existence was never a strength, but a subtle chain, a silent master keeping you bound. The trick Machiavelli knew, the profound power of simply not reacting, not engaging, is now a part of your very being. You've learned that your silence can be a louder, more devastating retort than any argument, flipping the dynamics of control instantly. The calm, unyielding stillness you now possess is your greatest weapon, allowing you to observe the predictable desperation of those who try to provoke, and to recognize the hidden strings that manipulate their every move. Embrace this truth. Let it settle deep within you. It is a quiet, unsettling liberation, a dark wisdom that grants you an unshakable inner peace in a world perpetually seeking to stir chaos. If this revelation has shifted something within you, if you are ready to truly integrate this Machiavellian trick into your life and step into your true power, then like this video. Let us know in the comments below. How has the need to defend yourself held you back? Share your thoughts, your experiences, and your questions. And if you seek more insights into the unspoken rules of power and the hidden depths of human psychology, subscribe to AEL. Join a brotherhood of men who are not afraid to face the dark truths and master the game. The journey inward has only just begun.